Hı hı.
Aa, Ömer sen Ayce'lerin arkadaşı değilsin değil mi?
Evet. Sen kimsin?
Tanışmıştık da.
Ne zaman tanıştık hatırlayamıyorum. Özür.
Ya yemekhanedeyken beraber oturmuştunuz. Ali'nin arkadaşı mıydı?
Azeri olan mı?
Hmm.
Uf, o çocuk çok yakışıklı geliyor bana ya. Ondan bağımsız. Hakikaten muhtemelen yüzünü görsem hatırlarım da şeyden tanıyamadım. Ben anlamadım bu arada. Şimdi biz hava kirliliğini araştırıyoruz. Bunu dördümüz ayrı konuda anlatacak mıyız? Ne yapacağız tam olarak? Hmm. Başka meteoroloji okuyan var mı? Hı hı. Alalım. Alo, iyi günler. Yok hayır, kendisi numarasını vereyim isterseniz. Evet, bu numarayı ben kullanıyorum. Şu an acil müsait değilim de. Müsait değilim de ben direkt numarayı versem olur mu? Ya da direkt kapatacağım. Evet, akşam 7'den sonra müsait olur. Ama yanımda olmaz. Ayrı şehirlerde yaşıyoruz. Akşam 10'da görüşürüz Ayvalık çünkü telefonum biraz arızalı ve internet yokken çekmiyor. Ve ben akşam dışarıda olacağım. Hani muhtemelen görüşemeyiz o yüzden. 6.30'da. Akşam 6.30'da. Tamamdır. İyi günler. İyi günler.
then it excludes all these other things where technology affects business. So, yeah, that's a general topic, and you need to narrow that now. But that's good. Okay, Mohammed and Feryal, Yusuf and Feryal, great. Ahmed, then it excludes all these other things. Mohammed Emin, where technology affects business. So, yeah, that's a general topic, and you need to narrow that now. But that's good. Okay, Mohammed and Feryal. Computing. Yusuf and Feryal, great. Talk to me. Topics?
Yeah, we stick our topic, cybersecurity policies of states.
Yeah, national cybersecurity policies. Yeah. Yeah, national cybersecurity policies. Yeah, is new to the group. So you're now a group of 4, right? So you need 4 subdivisions. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. National cybersecurity. Then we have electrical engineers. Now, you were 5 in that breakout room, so I'm assuming that there are maybe 2 or 3 groups here. Emre, Bilal, Mahmoud, Yusuf, and Abdullah may be working on his own. What's the decision then there? We have electrical engineers. Now, could be a group of 4 and a 1, or 5 in 2 and a 3, or in that breakout 3 and 2, 1. So I'm assuming what have you decided? There are maybe 2 or 3 groups here.
I am together with Mahmoud Ekrem.
Bilal, Mahmoud. That's Bilal and Mahmoud, is that correct? And Abdullah, maybe. And what's your topic?
Energy systems and automation. Our topics.
Energy systems and automation. What about Yusuf and Emre? Yusuf and Emre, were they in your breakout room as well? Bilal?
Yes.
There were 5 people in your room, yeah?
Yes.
But you and Mahmoud are going to be a pair, just 2 of you, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Energy systems and automation.
But our subtopics are not ready yet.
Tamam. What about Yusuf and Emre? What? Any ideas? Yusuf and Emre, are you there?
Yes, you couldn't find any topic.
Well, I mean, what's your favorite lesson in your department? Do you enjoy being in your department, or do you wish you were in a different department, Yusuf?
Yeah, I like my department, I guess.
Okay, so you can do anything connected with electrical engineering. You know, you can look at very simple electrical components of machines, circuitry, basic principles of electricity, the history of discoveries about electricity, you know, electromagnetism, going back in history. You can do a historical paper, or you can look at, you know, electric vehicles. You can look at robotics, electronics of any type. So, you know, there's so much that you could do. All you really need to do is come up with a topic that you find interesting at this stage, and then you can see if you can turn it into a project. So Yusuf and Emre, I'm going to put you guys together. Abdullah has his own topic. Okay. Tech and invasions of privacy. But Yusuf and Emre, you need to pick something. Okay, so I'm putting you two together as a group, but we need some idea today. Okay. So you need to keep in contact. Emre Enos and Yusuf Eren, get a WhatsApp connection, and you're going to work on this together. So I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 groups. Some of them have 4 people, some of them only have 1 person. Most of them are around the 2 or 3 mark, so that's okay. Right.
Hocam,
Yeah.
can I ask a question?
Sure.
Will the gradings be individual inside the groups?
Yeah, good question. So some of the assignments are marked as group assignments. For example, the introduction and the conclusion will be written as a group. But most of it, I try to give an individual mark to. So certainly the body paragraphs of your essay will be individually marked, but also your oral presentations will be individually marked, and most importantly, your exams will be individually marked, because the exams, the midterm and the final exam, come to a total of 60% of your grade, and they are individually marked. And this is where you have no help from AI or anything. So that's really what's determining your grade. But also, the body paragraphs of your essays and your oral presentations, I give an individual mark to. So I would say nearly all of your mark is individuated. Okay, and so you know, it's quite possible for someone in the same group doing the same essay to get a CC and another person to get a BA plus or an AA or something like that. That can happen. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Where do we need to finish writing the essay? Like where does it need to be uploaded?
Submitted.
Yes.
Let me share that with you. I think it was on the thing earlier on. Hang on. December the 22nd. Week 12. I think that might actually be week 13, but it's right at the beginning of week 13. So
Okay,
yes.
so it's on December.
Yeah, you got a lot of time, but
Yeah.
I will be giving you deadlines for the introduction, for the body paragraphs, for the conclusion. So you will have it all done long before then. 13, okay.
Okay, and we need to.
So
okay,
yeah.
So we need to upload our topics till Wednesday.
That's correct. So for next week, I want you to do this. Hang on. Next week, you will upload a Word document that looks like this. Okay, so at the top, student names, numbers, and departments. And that may be, 1, 2, 3, or 4 people. I need a list. So this is my document, so I know kind of, okay, this is what this group is doing. Then you give me your general topic area. So for example, technology and business growth. And then you will show me how that is narrowed down to, for example, internet marketing or something like that. Narrow topic. Then that's subdivided. Now, if there are only 2 people in that group, they might look at just 2 aspects of internet marketing. Okay? Or if there are 4 people in that group, there will be 4 main supporting ideas, because each individual student will be doing their own little sub-topic within the main topic. Then you will list sources. So I want every student to find 3 sources for their subtopic. So if there are 3 in the group, there's going to be a list of 9 sources there. You can put your name, if you like, or student 1 and your name, and then the 3 sources. Student 2, name, 3 sources. Okay? Try to use the APA format for your sources, but you might not get this right. Don't worry too much about it, because I haven't taught you this yet. I will teach you this in subsequent weeks. But just give it a go, because often it's very easy. You just go to the source and cut and paste the reference there from the source. Okay, so topics, narrow topics, subtopics, and sources in one Word document. This can be one Word document. So if you can fit it on, if you can fit all 9 sources on, then you can all upload the same Word document to Nineveh for next week. The deadline for that is 10:30 on Wednesday next week. Any questions about the assignment? Okay, so now we will look at how to find those sources. So to begin with, you will, especially if you don't really know your topic very well, you can use Wikipedia. You can just randomly Google stuff, and you can go down the rabbit hole of your topic. You probably know that expression, the rabbit hole. Do you use that expression in Turkish? Down the rabbit hole, have you heard that before?
Hocam, we use, but I suppose it transitioned from English.
Tamam. So how would you say it in Turkish? Would you use the English, or would you say it in Turkish?
From what I observed, most of the people use it in original English, but I heard translations too.
Yeah.
How
So, I mean, yeah, the idea is, of course, that rabbit holes, rabbit warrens, we call them, rabbit warrens, are very winding, complicated, dark, confusing places. I think also it's a reference to Alice in Wonderland. Do you know that child's story, Alice in Wonderland?
Yeah, it's from there.
Yeah, so it's the idea that the rabbit beckons Alice down the rabbit hole, and everything stops making sense. Up is down, down is up, big is small, small is big. It was written by a man who was a professor of logic and mathematics. So it was to do with that sort of counterintuitive nature that sometimes mathematics, where mathematics meets language, it can get very confusing. So to begin with, you will go down the rabbit hole of your topic, which means you will Google your keywords, and then you will click on this, and then you will see something else, and you will click on that, and that will lead to this, and that will lead to that. And you will allow yourself to play for about an hour and see where it takes you. And you might find that you find better topics or better subtopics or new interesting ideas that spark your imagination and that motivate you. So this is quite a good thing to do, I think, to be playful in the first stages of your research. Okay? Especially if you're not sure about your topic. It will give you some new ideas and some new approaches and angles and maybe some narrower areas that you find more interesting. So keep an open mind in the initial stages. Wikipedia, as I said, is something you can use in the first stages of research because it summarizes things nicely for you. However, we do not cite Wikipedia. Why do we not cite Wikipedia in our finished work, in our essay, in our research paper? Why don't we cite Wikipedia? Who can tell me?
That it isn't a primary source, only aggregates them and summarizes them.
That's correct, but it's also an open source. So that means it can be changed, updated, deleted, and anybody, in theory, can do that. Actually, it is edited quite rigorously, but we cannot trust the information we get there completely because it's an open source. Okay, so it's actually very valuable as a summary, but we will not use that as a source in our papers because we can't trust it. Remember I said last week, we're looking for peer-reviewed academic research, conference papers, journal articles, that kind of stuff, because that is more trustworthy. At least it's being quality controlled by experts, right? So, all academics use Wikipedia. Sometimes they say they don't, but they all do when they're trying to investigate new things. The other great thing about Wikipedia is it covers everything from pop culture to, more academic stuff. So it is very useful. And as I say, just surfing the net is also a useful, playful way of starting your research. However, eventually, when you found a topic that you and your group think, okay, this is the right area, then you want to try and get a bit more scholarly. So you might go to Google Scholar and again do something similar there and just see what's available. And this will give you a whole variety of sources. Some are more scholarly than others. So you need to use your discretion. But again, we're not necessarily going to use this stuff. We're still just kind of seeing what's out there, getting some ideas, and dipping into a few academic papers. There's Taylor and Francis online where you can get whole books and stuff, PDFs. And here's an example of actually an article that they've got through Google Scholar, and you can see that the PDF here gives you related research. So again, the idea is that if you're interested in this paper, you might be interested in this author's other papers or papers by different authors on a similar topic, and nearly all of these platforms give you these links. So it's just an algorithm in the same way as your Spotify music and all that is suggesting music for you. These platforms suggest research papers for you, and that's how you go from one thing to the other often. Once you've done that, you might think, okay, that's good, but can I be more specific, more focused, more targeted in my research? And the answer is yes. And I want you all to end up at the library website, the E2 library website. Why? Why am I saying you should go to the E2 library website? Why is it better than Google Scholar? Who can tell me?
Because the information may be more correct, like more true.
Well, why would it be more correct and more true?
I'm not sure.
It might be because it's open access in our library, but it isn't necessarily in the Google Scholar.
Open access in the sense that you don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say open access necessarily, but the library pays subscriptions to the journals and the journal databases. So the point is that if you go through the library, it's the same thing. You're just using the library search engine, typing in keywords. It's the same process. But you go, first of all, you log into the library with your library PIN. By the way, if you haven't joined the library, you must do that. It takes 2 seconds. With your E2 card, you get a library PIN. Okay, and then you can use the library website search engine, and the point is that you will then have access to sources and databases without the paywall. So if you do this through Google Scholar, you'll click on the article and it will say, okay, you now need to pay $20 to read this one article. It's very expensive, it's ridiculous. Academic publishing is a scandal, actually. But because you are E2 students, E2 spends thousands of dollars each year in subscriptions to these journal databases. So the point is, if you go through the E2 library, you are able to get to many more of the best peer-reviewed, up-to-date academic sources than you can even on Google Scholar. Okay, so because we're at a technical university, this is mainly engineering and science topics. This will not help you if you're interested in poetry or philosophy or something. But for this course, it will probably increase the scope of your search, and more importantly, it will increase the number of gold standard sources available to you. Okay, so I want you all to do this. If you're going to go on to do a master's and a PhD and all that, you need to get used to working with your own library. Okay, and eventually the library will, when you get to know the system and you become a professional researcher, the library will be the place you go to get sources that you can't get any other way, and you will actually talk to the librarians and they will get them for you. They will speak to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and say, we need this, and all these libraries are interconnected, they're all communicating, and they're all helping researchers to get the information they need. Okay, so if you do nothing else on this course, please familiarize yourselves with the E2 library system, play with it this week, see what you can find. So here's an example. They put in hybrid technologies. We have some metrics here. This is one article that they found through the E2 library. You'll notice, by the way, the number of results here, 1 million, nearly 1.5 million results. So those words, hybrid technologies, obviously very, very general. In fact, too general, ridiculously general, 1.5 million search results. So I'm going to talk about that later. But Let's just look at this one source here. Look, hybrid technologies, the future of energy efficient desalination, a review. So this is a review paper. A review paper is really secondary research which is reviewing the literature in the field. So they're probably looking at, maybe 30 different research papers written on desalination and reviewing them, working out the landscape of the field. These review papers are very important for people who are new to research because they really do all the work for you. You can get one paper there that's saying, okay, you're interested in desalination. I'm now going to tell you about the major breakthroughs in this field over the last 20 years, and I'm going to pinpoint all the seminal papers of that process over the last 20 years. So in that one paper you get the whole detailed history of the field over the last 20 years and the links to all the relevant articles. So review papers are really nice places to start your reading. If we look at these numbers, the symmetric, see they put a red circle around the metrics there, the Web of Science 57, Scopus 21, and then there's number 3 there in that blue circle. These metrics measure the impact of this article and the impact of the journal that this article is in. So they give you some idea of like how important, significant this research is. 3 citations is not many. That means that 3 other researchers have cited this paper in their research. But if that paper, the one we're looking at, was published 2 months ago, then 3 citations is, it's okay in 3 months. If it was published 20 years ago and has only been cited 3 times, it probably means it's kind of, it's finished. It may have been cited a few times when it first came out and then no one has read it since. So that probably it's not a good sign. So you've got to use your common sense. These numbers have to be interpreted. Now, Web of Science has an algorithm for measuring the impact of journals, and so does Scopus. And these numbers basically tell us that the journal, which is called Desalination, that's the name of the journal, is kind of mid-range in terms of impact, because the Web of Science is about 0 to 100 and Scopus is like 0 to 50 scales. Okay, I'm just going to quickly show you now how they do that. They have a fairly straightforward algorithm. Just because I was curious, like how do they get those numbers? And what they do, so Web of Science, for example. By the way, this is ChatGPT. This explanation is ChatGPT. So you would probably need to check this, but I happen to know that this is correct. This is the algorithm they use. Basically, they look at the 2 previous years of that journal, how many times all the articles in that journal were cited over the previous 2 years, multiplied by the number of articles in that journal over those 2 years, divided by the total number of citable items published in those years, something like that. So it's finding an average. It's finding an average out of the available material published. It's finding an average number of citations over a previous 2 year period. So it's a fairly straightforward algorithm. And Scopus does something similar, but for a 4 year period. Okay? It's actually quite complicated because it depends who's citing it as well. So there are other ways of doing these metrics which take into account the prestige, the status of the journal that it is cited in as well. And it gets very complicated. Because what you're really doing here is you're trying to assess the popularity, the impact of these journals and these articles. And you must not think of these numbers as truth. It's not, it's just statistics. It's statistics. And as I think Mark Twain once said, lies, damned lies, and statistics. So meaning like they're the worst form of lies, statistics, because you can use statistics to tell any story you want. If you change the algorithm, you can change the statistic. So be careful. And remember, some of the really important research in history, when it was first published, everyone thought, well, that's rubbish. And a lot of people didn't read it, or a lot of people criticized it. Okay? And only later, maybe 10, 20, 30 years later, were they ready to accept that research and to listen to it and to understand it. And today, that means that some early speculative research might get almost no interest. And it might turn out that like 10, 20 years later, someone goes, they were right. And then suddenly that paper gets thousands of citations. So don't think of the statistics here as, a guide to the truth. It's not. It's just statistical analysis. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to quickly go to the E2 library site with you. Can we see that? Can you see the E2 library site now?
Yes, we can.
Good. Tamam. So I'm now going to put in autonomous vehicles, let's say. Hang on a second, that's not right. I don't know why it's done that. Okay, so here we go. I just typed that in, so it's just the same as any other search engine, right? And you'll notice the number of results. So that's the first thing you look at, 325,000 results. That's too big. So this is a very general topic. And the same thing, for example, if you put technology in business growth, you're going to get thousands of results. Chemical processes in food engineering, thousands of results. These are very general terms. So we need to look at Boolean operators. Boolean operators. So let me just show you. If I put or, let's say I have in my group a marine engineer. So at the moment I've got 325,000 results. Now you see it's almost doubled. Why? Because I've said or. So the search engine is now looking for all the sources with autonomous vehicles mentioned, and all the sources with marine engineering mentioned. Okay, because I've told it to give me both things, this or that you can bring me. But if I say I want you to bring me sources with this and that, now let's have a look. Look, it's gone way down to 5,000 because I've now used two general search terms, but I've said I want them both in my sources. So this is a narrowing process. The more terms you add, the narrower your search becomes. Let's say I've got a petroleum engineer in the group as well. See what happens. Look at that. We're down to 12 sources. Now that is extremely manageable and makes your life so much easier because now you've got 12 sources, but we're using the E2 library, remember? So these are all good sources, and we can go further. Let's just broaden it out a little bit so I can show you more clearly. Let's do that autonomous vehicles and marine engineering. 5,000 results. Okay. First thing I would say is 5,000 is still quite a lot, but this is our topic area. Let's just limit it to the last 5 years because it's obviously going to look better in your essay if your sources are up to date. Okay? So let's make the past 5 years. Look at that. Now we're down to 3,500. Okay? So you're refining your search now. We want to make it full text. Source type. Okay, well, I think we can probably go for both of them. But certainly magazines, electronic resources, I'm just going to go for both of them. Okay, so we're down to 3,400-ish. Peer-reviewed, absolutely. There we go. Now that I think I'm happy with as a search. And what this means is, now, for my group, all of the sources I'm looking at are potentially gold standard. These are sources that can get you an AA on this course. Okay, all of them, all 3,000 of them are exactly what you're looking for. So what you now do is you scroll through reading the titles. Most of them will be no, no, no. Like 99% of this you're just rejecting. You're just scrolling through until you find something. You go, that's exactly right for my section. Most of it will probably be too technical. When you find something of interest, of course, you click on it and then you look at the actual paper, at the abstract, at the introduction, at the discussion, and eventually the data in the paper. Okay? So this week, because you're going to remember, you need to choose 3 sources, 3 academic sources to put on your assignment for next week's assignment 1. Okay, so this is the process. You start off very general, Wikipedia, going down the rabbit hole on Google, then maybe a bit of Google Scholar, and then you go back to your group, you have discussions, and you say, yeah, I think we want to go for this. Then you go to the E2 library, you put in your search terms using Boolean operators. I'm going to show you a little video on them to help you, and or quotation marks. These are all Boolean operators that help you to disambiguate and to refine your search. Okay, and eventually all students will come up with 3 sources they can use. Okay, I'm just going to show you a quick video on the Boolean operators. I found one yesterday which was quite good. This one. Can you hear that? Can you hear it?
Like, can you try it again?
Come on, Vidaka. I don't think you can. I need to reshare it.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Literature review?
Can you hear that?
Yes, now we can.
Yes.
Come on.
Welcome back, subscribers. Are you ready to start your literature review? Let's zoom in on the first step of writing a good literature review. You need to search for relevant literature. If you don't know what a literature review is, check out this video first. Okay, so obviously you're searching for literature related to your topic. Start with creating a list of keywords on your topic. For example, our topic is social media's impact on the younger generation's body image. So our list of keywords could be mental health, body image, teenager, social media, Facebook, Instagram. Once you've had that list of keywords ready, go to your favorite database. It could be your university's library catalog, PubMed, ScienceDirect, or Google Scholar, which is what we will be using in this video. Now, who doesn't know how to type in their keywords and hit enter? That's for amateurs. I'm about to show you 2 more tricks to instantly narrow down your search and find much more relevant papers. For the first trick, you should first think and write down all the synonyms or subtopics of the keywords you've searched for. In our case, Gen Z, younger generations, and teenagers all represent the age group we're looking for. And here's the pro tip. Use these things called Boolean operators to help us refine the search. You can use these in all different databases. You use AND, so all the keywords have to be included in the results, and not just part of the search. Use OR to search for either of the synonyms. And for terms you don't want in your results, for example, if you're searching for the fruit apple and not the tech giant, we can use the minus sign to exclude technology, iPhone, Mac, etc. You can also use double quotation marks to search for results with exact matches. So in this case, for body image and social media. Once you've found a source you think might be useful, make sure to read the abstract before diving in headfirst. You get a glimpse of what the research is about and know if it's relevant to your topic. And when you've found a source that's relevant, check its bibliography and look for source titles that seem related to your topic. Often you'll be able to dig up some gems. To identify the most important publications on your topic, take note of recurring citations. If the same authors, books, or articles keep appearing in your reading, make sure to seek them out. You can also look at how many times the article has been cited on Google Scholar. If the number is high, the article is probably influential in the field. Then you should definitely include it in your literature review. Keep digging and reading, and when you're done, watch this video on how to identify themes, debates, and gaps. I'll see you there!
Okay guys, it's coming up to 12:30. Rebecca. It's coming up to 12:30 now. I think we are all in groups. I think we all have topics, and I think you all know what is required for next week's homework. Are there any questions? We all
I have
good?
a question.
Yep.
It's out of the topic. I'm just curious, where are you from?
I'm from the UK, from London, southeast London originally.
Nice. Because I love
But
your accent, that's why.
I've lived in Turkey a long time. How long have you been in Turkey?
2 years.
2 years. And how is your
No.
Turkish?
I have a C1 certificate. Like, I can speak Turkish.
Great. Well, yeah, I mean, my Turkish is not as good as it should be. I've been here half my life. But I've always taught English, so I spend a lot of my time speaking English. Anyway, nice to meet you all, and I look forward to seeing how your project develops, starting with assignment 1 from next week. Cheers, guys. Colin Nelson. See you next week.